I went to try to get a Sears card. They denied me. JCPenney also, they denied me. It's way easier to get a credit limit of 10,000 or more than most people actually believe. So I went from 10,000 to 20,000. It was no more than, it was maybe 5 minutes. These are credit cards that generally have a starting limit of 10,000 minimum, no matter what.
We want to go ahead and condense the amount of time that it takes you to research these high limit credit cards, especially ones that don't necessarily require you to be in the military or to be in the credit unions. We're going to go into majority of these cards where you can most definitely get a $10,000 limit, or at least position yourself to get high credit limit increases. Because here's the thing, some of these cards, some people have been able to get even higher limits than, of course, 10,000. But again, I don't want to take up too much of his time. I want to introduce you guys to Mr. Anthony Venture. Anthony, are you here with us, sir?
Yes, I am, sir. How are you?
Doing good, man. Doing good. I actually see that you're in the car. You're about to go somewhere, it looks like right now. So,
of course, man. Listen, you're in the office, baby. Just like they said in Training Day. Denzel Washington, you're in the office, baby.
Now, let's go ahead and give people what they came to learn, right? So now, what are the cards that pretty much kind of guarantee a high limit, when they get approved, around about $10,000 or so, if not higher? So what are those cards and how can people qualify for them?
It's way easier to get a credit limit of 10,000 or more than most people actually believe. There's something called, if you want like an actual definite, here's your $10,000 limit with, without going into all the other details, you can look at cards like the Visa Infinite Series cards. These are cards like the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Any Visa Infinite credit cards, you see it at the bottom right of the card, Visa Infinite. These are credit cards that generally have a starting limit of 10,000 minimum, no matter what. This even means that if you go to apply, like say for the Chase Sapphire Reserve with Chase, and you try to get that credit card, if Chase doesn't want to give you that $10,000 limit, like if you're not approved for it, maybe based on your income's not high enough, etc., they won't even give you the card. Like you won't get a 5K limit, an 8K limit, 10,000 or bust, and that's it. And Chase usually has a strict rule. Some people can get above it or not, but usually like 50% of your income generally is what Chase will allow you. So if you have an income of 20,000, then they'll extend to you that $10,000 limit. Usually that's the max, but some people get past it. Otherwise, when I did do a video specifically on how to actually get $10,000 limits, that I didn't want to just only talk about the cards, the Visa Infinite cards, because usually these are cards that come with high annual fees. And like, we're trying to raise our credit limits, not go in debt. we're trying to position ourselves for the future, so we have some security in case we need it. So I put out a bunch of cards. I believe it was the Citi Double Cash card. I talked about the Navy Federal flagship credit card. And a few other, in the Hilton card as well as ones that I mentioned, because I just found generally that they were the most forgiving when you went for credit limit increases. And they also, it's just the potential and propensity to go higher and higher, even though they have limits that could be low as like $200. The propensity and the amount of people out there on Reddit and some of the Discord people, they all mention like, I was able to blow past this very, very quickly. So I like that because it's low barrier to entry, lower credit score needed for some of them, and you have that potential going forward to grow into it. So I would say those few cards. If you want a good tip, what I found specifically, because I love American Express, right? I'm not sure how your audience feels about them lately. I know there's been some controversies, but
no, go ahead.
American Express is very good. The highest credit limit I ever got on a credit card was my no annual fee Hilton Honors card, $10,000 limit starting. When I had a score of around 700, maybe high 600, something like that when I got approved for it, and that being my first credit card with American Express. So that was 10,000. But another thing that American Express does that's very generous is usually if you have their cards for about 90 days, give or take 3 months, usually they'll allow you to 3x your total limit. No questions asked, but for the most part within 5 minutes.
Wow.
I did this personally. I didn't get as crazy as 3x. I just asked for 2x because I didn't want to too crazy, but I said, let me try it. So I went from 10,000 to 20,000. It was no more than, it was maybe 5 minutes. So they're usually very generous with those limits.
Let's go back to that. So now so is this like all American Express cards, or is this like certain types of cards and then you just go online and do this, or is it something you have to call and do?
So It's very easy. So the only thing you have to make the distinction for is American Express has what are called charge cards, and if people are unfamiliar, charge cards are going to be like the platinums, the green cards, the Amex Gold cards. You know, the flagship cards, the ones that the poster child for American Express, the high annual fee ones. These are charge cards. These are generally having to be paid in full at the end of each month, whereas we know normal credit cards, you can pay the minimum balance month after month. Charge cards would have to be paid in full. I pay for something on the first, you better be damn sure it's paid for on the 30th, or else you're going to have a hit to your credit limit. Even though they've introduced like what's called the pay over time limit, which any charges that are like $100 and more, that'll be able to be carried over, but most people are treating them like charge cards anyway, so they're being paid in full. Those have no preset spending limits, those specific cards. So it could be $0, it could be $1 million, and anything in between. It's all based on you and your credit profile. So those are just, any credit limit that happens to change day to day. However, American Express's credit cards, those are the ones that, yes, you can 3x the credit limit on. So we're talking like the Amex Blue series, like the Everyday and the Preferred. We're talking the Hilton cards or the Delta credit cards, even the Marriott credit cards, even the business credit cards. All of these have credit limits and generally do have also very favorable credit limits. So yeah, anyone that is a credit card with American Express, you can do that whole 3x trick on them. From what I found. So people are always online like, man, I really want to increase my credit limit with like Capital One, or they want to do a Discover or Citi, and it's so easy with American Express. It's just so easy. A free card, and you can get 30,000 limit very, very quickly, if that's the goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Man, that's huge, because see, again, listen, guys, I keep telling you, this is why I told you, you got to make sure not only are you guys taking notes on this, because listen, Anthony most definitely knows his stuff. I got a random question. So is your last name really Venture, or you just a huge fan of Capital One? Or
it's funny. I think some people have made the joke. You're the first one to like put the two and two together, like the Capital One Venture X credit card. No one's ever like, hey, Anthony, why don't you talk about the Venture X? Aren't you like related to that? I'm like,
right.
So yes, we are Anthony Venture in all all shapes and form. That's us. That's who we are in life, and that's how we present ourselves. So, yeah.
There you go, man. There you go. So now let's go into another piece, right? So we kind of went into, of course, those cards. So of course, make sure you guys go ahead and learn more about those cards as well. Also, too, guys, if you want to learn more about these cards, compare some of these cards, you can, or apply to some of these cards, you can go to the link down in the description below. But another piece that you talked about is, I saw one of your videos and you talked about the dangers of having an American Express card. So now let's go into that. What are some of the dangers or some of the things that people should know about or should be cautious about when they're going with American Express?
Oh man, you're gonna land me in hot water, man. They're gonna cancel me. They're gonna cancel me.
Yeah.
If I can though, before I go into that, I just want to make something clear with credit limits. Is that possible?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go back.
I just want to make sure, because some people really want to go for credit limits, and I see it in the comments a lot, but I always try to stress, like, hey, why do you need the credit limit in the first place? What's the reason? Is it just because you want the number? Then fine, that's cool. If it's vanity, cool. But if you want it for like things you're trying to purchase in life, I highly I don't want you to do that. I don't want anybody to go in debt. So it's like, find out your why. Why do you want a credit limit increase? Is it just because you want to keep your utilization down? Cool. Okay. But I just don't want anything debilitating to happen to people. Yeah. And generally, if you're having struggles with raising your credit limits, more often than not, it's probably just better in the long run if you just apply for a new credit card. Because you'll get a whole new credit limit, and you can get a credit card that also gives you maybe a sign-up bonus, so you can get some money for some nice vacations, or just multipliers on, spending money on whatever you do in daily life. So it's not the be-all end-all to have the high credit limit. It's find out why, and then there's other things you can do along with that. But
I'm glad you mentioned that too, because I don't think people ask themselves that question, like, I want, or they may see someone that has 15K, 20K, 30K, and then they say, okay, I want that same thing, but what do you need it for? Unless you're talking about just status or just to brag about it. But like you mentioned, like, what do you need that for? What's the why? Like, are you trying to put yourself in position to make a large purchase or something like that? And like Anthony said, you don't want to get this car specifically just to be, or find yourself, in like more, debt or something like that. So it's got to make sense. And what were those cards again that you kind of mentioned? You said it was a Chase Sapphire, and what were the other two? I think you mentioned.
For what? Just high?
Yeah, the higher limits. The higher
cards?
limits.
Yeah, I mean, if you're just looking for 10,000 and up, it's any Visa Infinite credit cards. I can't think of all of them off the top of my head, but that would be a Chase Sapphire Reserve. I've only gotten $10,000 starting limits on my Hilton Delta. I mean, my Amex Delta card and my Amex Hilton card. Those are both 10,000 limits off the bat. One was a business version. And also, oddly enough, I'll throw this in there that a lot of people don't talk about, is the Venmo credit card. This is issued by Synchrony Bank, and if you guys are unfamiliar, Synchrony Bank really does have a wide range of credit cards they issue. Most of the time, you're finding them with store cards. Like, I think they even have a Walmart card. I think they have an American Eagle card, things like that. But they are usually
uses them too. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yep.
They are usually very generous with their credit limits. So like the Venmo credit card, I've seen a ton of people get starting limits of around 7 to like 11K.
Wow.
But it could be as low as 200, right?
Yeah.
But so it's based on everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Okay, great. Well, thanks for going back to that too. So
sorry.
Let's go into the American Express part, right? What are some things that people, some dangers or some things they should be cautious of, with these cards? Because again, everyone may not know this stuff, right? But we want to make sure that everyone gets that information. So what's your opinion on that?
Okay. So just generally, before we get into the drama with American Express lately, generally, American Express cards are not for the faint of heart. These are credit cards that have, like I said, high annual fees, require really high credit scores to actually get approved for them. For most of these, in fact, every American Express card on the market today that are not like these kind of semi-Amex cards, like the USAA Bank and the Navy Federal More Rewards, it's not really Amex making that decision on whether or not they approve you. It's actually based on those greater banks themselves. So it's not really those you can be approved for much lower. But any other Amex branded card, co-branded Hilton, they're all going to need a credit score of around minimum 670 or higher. Some people can go less, some people more, but usually 670 or higher. So that's one thing. It's a barrier of entry. Two, there are some really great Amex cards that offer no annual fee. So I'll make that clear that, it's not necessarily just the platinums, the golds, the greens that have high annual fees. You could possibly get, a $0 Amex Blue Everyday card and cover most of your expenses in life. It's just that the ones that people talk about on YouTube are the platinum, the gold, the green. These are the ones that have really high welcome offers. They're the ones that are going to give you the most amount of money back on all of your spend, and you're going to be able to use that spend to fund vacations going forward. So, so that it's not for the faint of heart, because if you do get in, it's very hard to get out. Once you get those high annual fee cards, there's no option to downgrade them. You can go as much from a platinum card with a $695 annual fee all the way down to a green card of a $150 annual fee. And actually, most people don't know this, but there is something called the traditional green card. It's kind of hidden, but you can technically downgrade it to, it's like $55 a year. But again, there's no option to downgrade to a zero annual fee option. So the only way to get out of their annual fee bind is to cancel. Just cancel. Which may hurt your credit score, short term. But otherwise, I really love the ecosystem. The dangers that I found are more recent. Most of the time, if you're in Amex, you're in good standing. You have a really good community around you that's going to be giving you a lot of value going forward. And generally, Amex is pretty good with like fraud protection, stuff like that. Every time you apply for a new Amex credit card, for the most part, 99% of the time, it's going to be a soft pull. So if you guys are worried about all these hard inquiries and hurting your score, usually if you have one Amex card, most of the time, every single one after that will be a soft pull, which it was for me. I have 8 of them, and they were all, or 7, I don't even know. But I don't have those hard inquiries. The dangers I have found recently, though, is a lot of weirdness with Amex right now. So like I mentioned earlier, right? You have these credit cards, these American Express cards that have sign-up bonuses, welcome offers. Hey, spend X amount, and I'll give you X amount of points, and now we gain your business.
Right.
Well, as of the last 6 months, we found American Express has started putting people in what I'm calling pop-up prison, but it's really pop-up jail. And that's a window that comes up when you go to apply for their cards, and it disallows you to get the sign-up bonus. We're like, hey, you can get the card, but you're not getting the bonus. Why are they doing that? Why are they putting a lockdown on people getting some cards, huh? Why are they doing that? There was a couple other instances where we had a YouTuber by the name of Constantino's Points. He had all of his American Express cards canceled. All of them,
Mm.
every single one. I interviewed him live on my channel, and people really enjoyed the insight. We found out that it wasn't necessarily Amex, because it was like he had authorized users on his account with no social security number, so red flags, and they canceled all of his cards. But in my mind, I was like, man, without warning, without hesitation, and without an apology, they cancel all of his credit cards, and this can happen to anyone. If you're somebody who's trying to hit welcome offers with American Express, and you're just like buying gift cards, or you're I don't know, you're doing what's called manufactured spend, they have what's called the rat squad, and they basically are going out there and they're making sure that nobody's gaming the system, and if they do suspect you gaming the system, you're done. We're canceling everything, and you lose all your points. So this is a lot of that stuff happening. Yeah, a lot of changes, I would say. Also, for people in the military, people, if you're in the military, active member of the military, you can get most of, if not all of your Amex annual fees completely waived as a service to the American military.
Wow.
But something that come out recently, people in my Discord, Wandering Doc, he mentioned that he got letters to his house recently that stated, hey, American Express sent a letter and saying, hey, we're not going to pay your annual fees anymore 3 months after you leave the military. Before it was longer. I think it was like 6 months, a year, maybe more. Yeah. But now it's like definite. 3 months after you leave the military, you're gone. We're not paying your fees anymore. Which, again, more weirdness like in the last few months. So,
well, you know what though? It's like you mentioned. It's stuff like this YouTube channel. It's stuff like the Discord that you're in, where people are learning, how to, and again, the good news is we're not showing people how to manipulate anything. We're showing people how to maximize these things. But now that people are learning more and more how to maximize things at scale, I'm thinking that's starting to dig into their profits, so, and that's not giving them an excuse and saying that they should do this, but I can only imagine, everyone's now learning how to do things this way. So it's most definitely going to affect how they do business for sure. But man, listen, you most definitely been dropping some great information, some great gems as well too, as far as credit cards are concerned. So listen, of course, we know that some people may know about the YouTube channel, but of course, sounds like you guys' Discord is popping. So, how can people reach out to you and kind of follow you, amongst these platforms? Of course, we know you have your YouTube channel that you have as well too, and then of course, but how can people keep following you?
So yeah, I would say the Discord's probably the quickest thing. People will DM me at time to time, have questions and stuff. But really, I like the Discord. It's called the Venture Capital Discord. I'll be in the comments somewhere in this video. I'll drop it if people want, or if you do it, whatever. If you're a person that wants to learn about credit cards, or anything really, we have a slew of people in there. I have a real estate section, I have a stock section. Those are a little less used, but for the most part, credit cards, travel, retention offers on your Amex credit cards, increased credit, everything like that we have in there, and it's just a good group of people, a lot of fun we have. So I love that. And of course, Anthony Venture on YouTube if you want, whatever.
There you go, man. Well, listen, thanks again, Anthony. We greatly appreciate your time today, man. Honestly, just taking out the time to actually drop this information to the audience today. And again, thank you so much for your time.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on, man. I appreciate you, and I haven't met your audience yet. Hopefully they take me well. As much as Sledge, my good friend Sledge was just on. So hopefully I'm godfathered in, okay?
There you go, man. Thanks again.
I just want to see everyone prosper.
Absolutely. All right. See you soon.
Take care, man.